I'm Cindy, and welcome to Pearls of Liberty, November 20th, 2011, Thanksgiving week. And we've had some experiences this week of seeing some leaders undermined and gossip, rumors, factions. Some of this is, I think, contrived. A lot of it is just what happens naturally to us as people because we have egos and we want to strive for dominance and we want to see our guy win. And sometimes I think that needs to be set aside. And one of the strong examples, we actually had a personal example, which we'll share probably, but not specifically perhaps. But one thing that is in a broader sense that you may already be aware of is that Chuck Baldwin is planning to run for lieutenant governor. And
in
Montana, and because some people go to his church who are considered, I guess, undesirables politically, he's coming under fire. And what is that?
Yeah, there's a hit piece that was written against Chuck by a guy that used to write hit pieces for the Southern Poverty Law Center and is now writing for some other organization. And basically whenever anybody in the liberty movement shows signs of really getting to a breakthrough level in leadership, there is this, they're targeted and attempt to bring them down. And that's what's happening with Chuck Baldwin. And we really want to say we stand behind him and all those that are standing for liberty in Montana, in the liberty movement in the United States. And no, this is not some insurrection, and yes, he's running for governor of the de facto, but whether it's de facto or de jure, we want to be in the place of standing with and behind those people that are standing for liberty, and Chuck's getting attacked.
And there are so many issues all wrapped up here because there's the issue of what can we say about leaders? Even the Bible says don't receive an accusation against an elder unless you have 2 or 3 witnesses. There are, some Christian guidelines about how to treat leadership, but of course, in any kind of legal sense, that needs to be balanced with the concept of censorship. We're all about liberty. We're defending liberty. We're complaining how the mainstream media stifles Ron Paul and other First Amendment rights. Yet sometimes in these, liberty groups, we want to put the lid on people who are speaking against things.
Right. It's really amazing how whenever a group tries to move forward, oftentimes the idea that seems to arise within the group of somebody, in this case it was me trying to push for a greater understanding of principles of liberty outside of the left versus right paradigm, and then I get dismissed, or, excuse me, or demonized as somebody bringing division, when I'm not doing any name calling. Some people are so politically unaware to think that the word neocon is name calling. It has a specific political meaning with a lot of content behind it. So it just is amazing to me. And then in another environment, to see people coalesce around the idea of protecting their turf by not letting the potential for a shill or a provocateur to come into the group by stifling free speech, because they've seen free speech abused in the past. I mean, free speech is a dangerous thing, so we have to put an end to it, right? Once we've got our group the way we want it, and then everything's going to be fine. I mean, how could people be so dense? It blows my mind.
Well, part of walking in liberty is the ability to self-police.
Yeah. There's
an implied responsibility to self-police if you say that you want liberty. So we say that we're asking for freedom to choose our own way, to determine what we say, free speech, free behavior, so on and so forth. But it seems that we lack many people, even in the liberty movement, because we're dumbed down, we're programmed by the mainstream media, we're programmed by public education, whatever. We seem to lack the ability to process thoughts for ourselves, the process information, arrive at conclusions for ourselves. So I think part of the issue with wanting to stifle some people's speech is the fact that it appears that many people do not have the ability to process, well, what might this person's motive be for saying that? Is it possible that they have a hidden motive? Is it possible that they have a personal dislike? It seems as if we don't move through that kind of a mental process. We just, if somebody who seems to be a leader or is charismatic or whatever says something, oh my gosh, it must be true, and the person gets branded.
I think what we have is this capacity that humans have for ideologies and ideological shortcuts is really powerful, and it's really dangerous, because as soon as we perceive that somebody is advancing our ideology or something that we want to stand behind, then we're willing to cut off the right to disagree from others. And we don't even think that, hey, maybe we have misperceived the situation. Maybe we should walk in openness and in love and give the benefit of the doubt. And if somebody is a shill, let them expose themselves for what they are. And sure, they can, I think it's a much more effective way of managing communication to give that person their own forum and let the people who are attracted to that go there, and then you have this natural process developing. But then there's this desire to block that, and that's the stuff that becomes divide and conquer to those that are sitting above and watching us humans interact, and they just play us for dummies. So this happens on the world stage, this happens in local small groups, this happens everywhere. So humans have to develop the ability to think for ourselves and to not try to short circuit the learning process by getting the cart ahead of the horse and saying, well, it happened this way in history before, and we don't want that to happen again, therefore we have to cut this off, and negating the learning process along the way.
Sure. So it's challenging. It's not easy. It's not even all that simple, because people, the evil elite, the social engineers have studied us. They know what is likely to push our buttons. And if a group begins to be a potential threat, then they analyze the group fairly easily. For instance, the right-wing conservative Christians in the 80s who had a passion for right to life and the unborn, and the Republican Party just seized on that.
Just put that in the platform and people vote for it, whether or not it ever goes anywhere. So you need to look at the fruit in somebody's life and in the ideas, and not get into this infighting that so often happens. And we really can learn from history. This type of thing was a big source of division early in the First American Revolution, with Jefferson and Adams being at odds with one another. And then towards the end of their lives, 50 years later, they realized that they had come to a friendship and realized they were both fighting for the same things, and just through different perspective, different means, and yet there was enough division there to bring in some banking and other things that helped to undermine the American public and the American Republic. And although it didn't bear full fruit then, it's bearing fruit now, and come to full fruition in terms of this left-right paradigm divide and conquer thing. So we're waxing philosophical this morning, but those are the things that are on our hearts, and we're trying to learn to operate from the heart and not from so much of an agenda, and because we think that that's the way to go, and we are believers in openness and honesty and faith, and want to see that carry us forward.
And First Amendment.
Yeah.
So, did you want to talk a little bit about the world leaders, what's going on, or do you?
Well, we can talk a little bit about the presidential race. I think that's worth talking about. Newt Gingrich is being pushed forward by the powers that be, and giving him another run at another second shot. And it's amazing for me to see the conservatives that are buying into it. The guy, I just learned this week that he was actually a liberal history professor. I knew he was a history professor before, but he was allied with liberal causes and was drawn into politics through the right by people that wanted to block the true conservatives, and that's happened over and over again. That's happened with William F. Buckley. He was a plant that was not a true conservative. The people think today he's this icon of conservatism, and most conservatism in America today, ever since at least 1950, has really been not true constitutional conservatism. And there are modern people like Chuck Baldwin that have broken that mold, and Ron Paul most notably, because they've gone back to the principles of that our republic was founded on. But Gingrich and Keynes fumbling on foreign policy, Libya. Now let's see, what did Obama say? Am I behind him? Am I for him? And Gingrich just the polls or the media pushing the idea that Gingrich is not a man of big ideas, and how he's so well spoken, and that's the reason for his rise in his polls. I'm sorry, but con men are well spoken, and the American people should know better by now. And Gingrich's track record is undeniable. His bringing in NAFTA and GATT after this contract with America, it's just why people don't see what this man is and why he's given any space is beyond me.
So, all in all, we need to grow up a bit, read the book of Hebrews and what the writer of Hebrews wrote about. By this time, you ought to be teachers, but we have to go back. And I'm not saying that Don and I are going back and laying the foundation, because we're in a learning process. We freely acknowledge that, and our opinions, we want our opinions to be fluid, because if someone shows us that we're wrong, we want to be able to change. That's crucial.
Yeah.
And so we're in a learning process. We hope that you're in a learning process, but we hope that your learning process is not a passive one. We all need to be actively learning, actively studying, actively processing these things in our mind, analyzing, and asking God to help us arrive at the right conclusions.
Yeah. I have a thought for today that I think, if you don't have anything else I want to close on, and this is the idea that strongholds, the biblical idea of strongholds, are stereotypes. And those are strongholds in the negative sense, that they keep you from understanding the truth. So those are strongholds of enemy power that the enemy has erected in our minds. And many people today are driven by stereotypes. And this prevents us from really thinking, really perceiving, really understanding, really honest and true interactions with each other. And we need to get rid of all stereotypes. It's a shortcut that is, it appears to be appealing because it appears powerful. It gives you the appearance of the use of shortcuts. The use of stereotypes gives you the appearance of mastery of the situation, of the politics, of the worldview. But really, it really just is a block. And because we'll get these false paradigms that we put up in front of the real paradigm. And the real paradigm is liberty versus tyranny, as I've said many times. And that really isn't a shortcut, because you have to look at each situation individually. The only thing that I would say is ask yourself the question, does it lead to vertical integration and a tighter command and control structure? Or does it lead to decentralization of power? decentralization of power is tending towards liberty, and centralization of power is tending toward tyranny, no matter what the cause. The cause will always seem right and true and just in the beginning, but and that's the excuse for centralization of power and control. But the end thereof is death. So that's the idea, is that don't go with the stereotypes. Do whatever you can to recognize them and let them fall away.
So, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hello again. We're back because we got more to say.
Yeah. We drove today a little bit, and we're still on the road. And we remembered after we shut everything down this morning that one thing that has really been significant on our minds this week is what happened to Gerald Celente's investment money. And it was MF Global declared bankruptcy. That's where his money was. Let Dan explain what kind of money it was. And when they just told him, sorry, it's gone. And he has no recourse, according to them.
That's what they're saying so far. And yeah, that company got swallowed up by, was it J.P. Morgan or something? I can't remember exactly what it was. And I don't know that Gerald even had his funds exactly in MF Global, but MF Global swallowed up some other reputable company. And the way that Gerald explained it, people tried to get on his case about saying, yeah, you needed to actually take physical delivery. Well, what he was doing was actual contracts for physical gold delivered in December, and he was putting money away towards that, kind of like a layaway plan. And then they said, there's no money in your account. And they basically played dumb with him until he said, yes, there is, and it needs to be there. And then, because he is fairly high profile on the internet and various connections, it started to create quite a stir and actually affected some major markets. And this had happened a few days prior, but it took some people with some name recognition to bring it to the attention, so it got media attention. And we're thinking looks like it could be the beginning of the end. When you have these guys that just can't deliver physical gold and don't
or won't.
Yeah, or won't, but more likely maybe they just can't, or are just choosing strategically not to. And at this time, the bankers are getting away with whatever they're getting away with, and it's kind of like, why not? In your face, they just do it. They just take your money. They need it. Sorry, we're more important, us big bankers, trying to keep our show going, than you little guy that actually keeps us afloat and does the real work and makes investments and pension plans and all of that. So this is very serious stuff. This is
really
very serious. It looks like the beginning of the end, and we're saying, hey, we don't have anything significant in the banks, but if we did, we'd sure get it out, and as fast as possible, and do whatever you can to put it into hard assets.
Sure, and some people that we are acquainted with have even been commenting that they don't even want to leave their paycheck in the bank anymore. They want to cash their paycheck and use the cash. So we're not recommending that. We're not advising anybody. We're not financial advisors.
We use credit unions.
We do.
Yeah. So, but that's just what we do, and we think that it'll take them a longer time to get there. The bigger they are, the sooner they fall, and the more people are angry at things like Bank of America. In the town next door to the town that we live in, there was a robbery at the Bank of America, and a policeman got shot. So
and
things,
killed.
Yeah, and killed. And things are. This is a man with a family, and this is really starting to hit home. We know people that were involved in this, so things are getting pretty serious, folks.
Yeah, they are. But we took a little escape today and went to the movie theater.
Yeah, we talk about all these movies that are all old movies, and we actually saw a new release movie. Actually, it's been out several weeks, but we heard something about it from a Liberty friend and thought it was worth seeing. And
it was called In Time, just INTIME, and it's about a possible future
with
where
Justin Timberlake.
All you young people
Is that
have to
who
go
that
see
was?
it. Yeah.
It's a great premise for a story, and in some respects, it's somewhat like The Matrix in that there's a, possible future world, and people are being abused and stolen from, and they're trying to break free.
Yeah, you use the phrase "time is money" is literal in this movie. Yeah, and literally that is what people pay for things. Is they pay time from their life, and they try to get time in other ways, steal time, share time. The um, the people at the top have basically live indefinitely because the human body's been engineered to live forever at age 25, but people are only given 1 year of life after that, and they're on the clock and have to be productive with that little time that they have. So it's also kind of funny, kind of humorous that everybody looks the same age. The mother, there's nobody old. Your mother looks just like she's the same age as you, etc.
Yeah, and while they have a lot more freedom than in Logan's Run, in that respect, the time, how long you're allowed to live, that respect, the movie is kind of reminiscent of Logan's Run, I thought, which is another great dystopic movie. So.
Yeah, definitely worth watching.
Yeah, definitely worth watching. Has a great message. Good beat. No, just kidding.
Oh, and it's got perfect cars. I tell you, this movie wins my award for the best cars ever because they have the perfect car for everything. They have this vintage Dodge Charger for the police car. They've got this. The Jaguar is what he gets when he wants the perfect car. This is like a '60s XKE convertible, and there's also Mercedes-Benz with gull-wing doors, and there's the gangsta car is an orange Eldorado, and the perfect limousine is the suicide door JFK Lincoln, and it's just amazing for cars.
So if you're a motorhead, go see it.
You gotta see it.
If you're a Liberty lover, you probably will enjoy it.
Yeah.
So once again,
okay, signing off again.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy your holidays.
This time we really mean
Be
it.
thankful for the life and liberty we have. Treasure it and increase it with everything you've got.
Absolutely.